My name is Margaret Ann Windsor, and I've got a lot of YouTube videos I've put on for over a year now. And I started out with, I got the phone that I could use to upload videos um, back August the 3rd, I believe, of last year. And Alexis Murphy went missing either on the 3rd or the next day, the 4th. This is part of the mind control murders that were done in patterns. So at some point, you would think it was going to be told because these were deliberately done, like Hannah Graham, and you've got a whole list that go back when I first knew that murders were being committed and they were done in patterns. I didn't know the mechanism used at the time back 70, perhaps before 70, really. Um, but anyway, in the book I wrote about mind control, I worked for a doctor there, a group of doctors that's across from what was Northside Hospital at that time. I don't know if it's still there or not, how that is. That's some time ago. But I worked for doctors there on Peachtree Street, right in front of it, and I found out that one of the doctors I worked for, who was cardiovascular, was putting a chip in a heart bypass of a man who was head of a corporation there. And so what I found out later, I left that job. I got a letter of reference from him. I worked there a year. I was trying to complete a medical malpractice book on mind control. I started writing about the murders. And actually, I started writing about myself and what had happened to myself and my sons, Mark and Scott. And a lot of things happened, and it ends up, I'll just say this, that the person, I finally had typed and done all I could while I was trying to work. So the person that I hired, I put an ad in the paper, Atlanta Journal, to get someone to type for me. And she answered it, and I hired her, and she gave me a number that if I wanted to know how it was going, to call her. Well, when I called, it was the crime lab, George Crime Lab. So I'm trying to show you the agencies involved. And I suppose when you start talking about mind control and the agencies that can do that, and now it's so updated. Edward Snowden just touched about the monitoring your calls and all this, what they can do with it, when they can actually reach out and plug you in with mind control that's invisible. And that's where it's at today. And it's not just here in the States they can do it. You can even program as many as you want to. So where does this lead to? I was told years ago by an FBI, I was working for Tampa Hilton. I had just been put on the side of the road. And I ended up in Florida at the Tampa Hilton as sales secretary. Well, the woman who came in and made it so rough for me that I left was hired through a temp agency, and her husband was FBI, and she says, you're telling about this, and she says, at the end of it all, only one person can be in control, because I guess in what she was saying was true. I know that. It's zapping, and if this person's got that kind of weapon, well, you can try to stop it to save yourself. So anyway, that's what was going on back then. So to update it, it's really bizarre, I'm sure. But the point in doing this is in that book that I wrote 76 to 80, in April Fool Day of 80, they put antifreeze in me, and I should have died. It was, if you call it lucky, I was lucky to have survived it. It was hell on wheels there. I went for a tox screen because I knew, if you've ever had antifreeze put in me, believe me, you know it. I knew I was a goner if I didn't get it, go and get a tox screen and see if they could dilute it or whatever you do. Instead, I got there, and one of the doctors of a hospital that later they said he was never on their staff, so therefore they're not responsible. And since I can't get an attorney to represent me because actually they're afraid of it all, and it's this country that's behind the whole mess. They kidnapped me. I was kidnapped in 41, brought to Moulton, Alabama, and to make a joke out of it, I even saw on Facebook today, somebody put on there to the person who was born and grew up in Moulton, Alabama. Well, I've never seen anything. It's me that's been telling about and begging for help on Facebook and everything, telling this whole story. And so some people make fun of it. It's most of them believe it. So, I mean, how can you not believe it? I've put enough on YouTube, on Facebook. The media won't touch it because the people involved in my kidnapping in 41 were members of the Freemasons, Illuminati, and my own uncle helped take down my father illegally and kidnap me. I was born in 39, kidnapped in 41. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and it can sound rambling, trying to fit your life into, 10 minutes on a video? But I did want to get back to this. I mean, I've got nothing but hell out of this, but then I'm experiencing it anyway. Not unless I can be lifted out of here and go home, and I don't know how that can be because home has changed so much. But that I'll ever have a day of rest, and I'm 75, almost 76 years old. What I wanted to put in here is I wrote about Emory University and Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. That was mentioned in the book. In 76 was when the first Ebola virus was discovered, I believe. But anyway, I did try to tell about, I don't know that I mentioned anything about Ebola. I was writing about cancer, a bit about cancer. And also there was a doctor at Emory University, a doctor of psychiatry. I'd never met him. He was also law professor there over the law of there. I think Jimmy Carter came in and took over the law after he died. Dr. Jonas Robicher had written many books on psychiatry. Well, he's head of law and psychiatry there at Emory at the time. They actually murdered him. I was telling about mind control murders and what you could do with mind control, and it stems from the 30s when the Tesla files were stolen. So this goes back that you can create an illness or you can cure it. So you see where I'm going with this. Armed with this kind, they wanted me dead even if they never told about my kidnapping. I didn't find out about my real name and kidnapping until 83 when I was flown out to Larry Flint's and was in a political campaign to replace the doctor, Congressman Larry McDonald, U.S. Congressman, that I had written about. And what transpired after that was I had antifreeze put in me. I was transported across the state line, worked for the district attorney, and told not to talk about it. Try talking about when you've had your brain baked and you've lost your kids in your home and you're back there in Huntsville where you're not wanted. Anyway, there was a reporter, FBI agent, that helped save my life, and I put all these. I've got letters from him. And some of the people, and I'm sure he suffered consequences himself, but I've always had names and everything in this, and all I can say is I'm going to go back because you can't tell it. I've put it on and put on 1, 2, 3 tapes or enough, and then you have to reference it to get people to try to listen. And it's not that they don't believe it. I was told that by too many people. And how could you not believe it? I've put papers and things on YouTube and Facebook, so there's no possible way that you can't believe it. People don't like to hear it mainly because I'm British, and they kidnap me, and they don't give a damn. And I hope that's not a bad word to put on there that would get me thrown off of something, because right now somebody stole my Facebook. Acmel or something. They've done it to some other people, lift